Hi guys, thanks for watching. It's Thursday morning here, February 22nd. Thought I would take you through just a regular day along with me, show you a few clips of what goes on in a normal day in the office here this morning. Got some records to enter in. We moved heifers yesterday in our heifer barn, pregnant heifers and then also breeding age heifers. And then today we're going to be moving some heifers, calves from the group pens, 3 months old or so, into our heifer barn. So I'm going to enter these into the computer so that they're accurate in the computer if our guys need to look up our heifers or if they're breeding heifers, etc. Also need to look at a couple heifers. One of our herdsmen, Victor, gave me a list of a couple heifers to look at. We're shipping a load of cull cows here Saturday or Sunday this weekend, and there was a couple heifers he wrote down for me to look at that could potentially go on the truck. One of them, looked through her records, she's had a couple things going on. She was treated for pneumonia, treated for lameness. I think she'll go for sure because she's had several issues going on. The other one was a chronic pneumonia last summer, and she said she's kind of behind the rest of her herd mates, so we'll look at her. If she doesn't look, if she looks okay, I think we'll probably hang on to her. But if she is in fact skinny, doesn't really look the healthiest, then we'll probably send her on the truck, because more than likely if she's had some issues and she's behind growth wise, she's probably going to have more issues going forward, even if she's not having issues right now. But I'd like to also look at some heifers, because we are selling about 40 pregnant heifers. The first 10 will be picked up next Monday, and those will be sold based off of their genomic value, their genetic value. But I do want to look, I'll make a couple of lists here, and I do want to look at those personally, just to make sure we're selling good heifers, that we're not selling ones that could be, for one of these two, for example, that Victor gave me. I don't foresee there to be, because usually if we have any heifers that are behind, we sell them. But I also don't want to get to Monday, sort out heifers, and then have one or two in the group that I don't like, or that I wouldn't buy myself, and I don't want to sell them to somebody if I wouldn't buy them myself. So we've got those things going on today. And then because it is Thursday, we're moving cows to our close-up pen, but that also means I need to make lists to move cows tomorrow. It's a dry-off day tomorrow. We'll do that in the afternoon, because then I'll update calving records and breeding records in the computer also prior to doing that. So I'll get started here, get these records entered in, and then we're going to go check a few things by the milk tank, and then look at some calves, more than likely. Go to our heifer barn. So we'll take you along today. I usually walk into the parlor in the morning, make sure that everything is good there, and check by our milk tanks, make sure that there's nothing out of the ordinary here. So loaded 2 loads out of the silo here this morning. Second truck just left. He turned the wash on. Like to make sure that the valves are open, everything is set up right. Milking in tank 1 here at the moment. Cooling is on. Is there really one thing in particular I'm looking for? Just making sure that nothing stands out that's not the way it should be. Everything looks okay to me. Like to check the teat dip, chemical. Make sure nothing's out of the ordinary, that I don't have to switch barrels here this morning. Pasteurizer's done pasteurizing. Walking behind our holding area here, behind our parlor. Pen 10 is in the parlor at the moment. Just about done here. So last pen out of the north barn that needs to be milked. Looks like Asagi is running the cows through the foot bath here today. Cows go through the foot bath twice a week. Mainly in the morning, it's just kind of looking at things overall, make sure nothing's out of the ordinary. We'll walk through the separation building here, make sure this all looks like it's running good. Hydrocyclone's working, solid manure separator's working. We've had some issues. We had an issue with a valve in this piston pump. It was a rubber flap that had broke off. I replaced that. But we've been running on this one here the last week or so. We've got an issue with one of the hydraulic valves. It's causing the motor to work harder than it should. And I've got them on order, waiting for one of them to show up. I'd like to switch back to the other pump to make sure that that rubber flap took care of the issue, but I want to get this one back to running 100% first. So just waiting for that one hydraulic valve. For whatever reason, it's not letting enough oil by. It's making the motor work harder than it needs to, and it was tripping the VFD. I opened the valve up a little bit, but I shouldn't need to do that. I'm thinking that's the problem. Once that valve gets here, we'll be able to confirm that. In our heifer barn now this morning. So when we moved heifers yesterday, we were moving them from the freestall pens on the north side of this barn, and some went over to the far pen here, free stalls. And when we do that, this first pen here, pen 41, on the other side of this fence here, opened up about 24 spaces, more than 24 spaces, but about 24 heifers that we could move in there. I'd like to undercrowd that first pen of free stalls. So those came from the straw pens here at the far side, and then all these heifers moved up in the straw pen. So now we've got 5 in this first pen here on this side, 5 on this side. So we're going to move about 12 to each side here today out of our group pens where our calves are. Look at the heifers here, and then we're going to go down to the manure pump in here. We'll turn that manure pump on. Hey girl. So once our calf feeders come, they're going to give these first 5 pens grower or starter pellet out of our grain bin over there. So the first couple pens, they get as much as they can eat, and then from that point on they'll get a certain amount of buckets depending on the age of calf, age of heifer. Those guys start at 7, so they're not here yet. We cleaned these pens out. Did this side 2 days ago. Did this side yesterday. Took advantage of possibly the last cold temps we're going to have here for this winter. I could be wrong, but the extended forecast, we got a day that we could hit 60 here coming up, so that's pretty crazy to think about in February. By the manure pumps here in our heifer barn, you can see that pit's quite full. So we've been having some trouble. With the pit on the far north side. It's getting quite full with really solid manure, and it's not emptying out like it should. So we've been trying to fill this pit a little bit higher to try to get that manure to suspend and come this way. Been doing that here for a few days, just kind of watching it. I think we need to get it even fuller than it is here today. It's been quite a while since we've had an issue with manure not flowing in this pit, so hopefully we can get it going. Otherwise we'll have to get a PTO pump in here, PTO agi pump, pull a slat and stick a agitator down in there, and I'm hoping to avoid that if we can. So we'll try to fill this pit up here a little bit more this afternoon. Try to get this pit really full to get all that manure to suspend and come this way towards the pump and the agitator here. But we're going to turn this piston pump on, start pumping it empty here this morning. It'll take about 2 hours or so, and then we'll pump liquid manure back over here from our cows, because the manure in this barn from heifers and dry cows is quite thick, because they're on a high forage diet, low energy diets. So we have to dilute that manure to begin with, and obviously down at that far end where there's a lot of manure going in, we're not getting enough movement in the pit to get all that manure to come this way, so we'll have to try to fill it up a little more. So I'm just gonna head down there, close the valve, and then we'll turn this pump on. Jose Luis is cleaning pens in here this morning. That's the far off dry cow pen that he's working on now. That pen is bedded with sand bedding. We dump that manure outside and then bring it over to the milking cow barns to run that manure through our separator. I just looked down in the slats with a flashlight, and it looks like we are making some progress on the manure. There's less thick manure down there. We're getting closer towards the north side on having manure moving in the pit, so we are making some progress. In our lean-to here now, where we made group pens that you would have seen a few videos ago if you've been following along. Overall, calves are doing pretty good. I'm pretty satisfied. We are having to regulate this curtain a lot more often than we were in the past. I think just because calves don't have the protection of the hutch in here, doesn't keep them quite as warm out of the wind, which means not the end of the world. It's just taking a little bit more management, but overall I'm pretty satisfied with how the calves are doing. They look good. Still waiting for the new gates to show up. It sounded like they were going to build them this week, so hopefully in the next couple of weeks they'll be here. We can swap them out. Then we are still waiting for the rings for the milk buckets. So I think once we get those, I'll make another video in here on how it's going, so I won't talk too much about it here today. Just wanted to come look at these calves to see if we need to put bedding in here. So these, what would it be, the last 4 pens here, these will be the calves going to our heifer barn. They look like nice calves. And then the way that we're doing it is we'll move 4 pens, clean those pens out, move calves down, and then this whole line of pens will all get shuffled down so that they stay in order from youngest on the west side to oldest on the east side. Makes it a lot easier, especially for feeding milk, but for moving calves in general too, because the oldest calves will always be on the end of the pens. So that's how we've been doing it in here. What we always did in the past was leave this curtain open all the time unless it was snowing. What we've been doing now is mainly having it be closed, especially temperatures like today, a little below freezing, a little bit windy. Wind likes to roll off this barn a little bit. So we close it down, leave about a foot open. That seems to leave enough airflow for the whole barn, but yet keep the wind from hitting, from running across the calves. So that's been working pretty good here. In the connecting alley here, where our baby calves come in right when they're born, in our nursery. Cleaned this out yesterday. Still need to put straw back in this side. We'll do that here today. We'll go look in the barn. Like to make a plan here in the morning also for what our calf feeders are going to do once they're done feeding calves. So typically on any given day, their responsibility responsibilities are feeding calves, and then bedding up the dry cows, heifers, and fresh pens that are on straw packs, and then also bedding up calves. These calves in the barn here, the calves in the lean on in the group pens. But we don't do those jobs every day. It's every other day. In here could be about every third day. Kind of depends on the weather a little bit. So we look at that every morning usually. Walk the pens, walk by the calves just to see who needs bedding today, and try to make a plan for them so that they have work all day. So we'll do that here this morning. So these would be the oldest calves in the barn here currently, and these will be getting moved out to the group pens once we move the calves out of there and shuffle those calves down in pens. Got a few pens empty in the barn. We sold some heifer calves here 2 weeks ago now already, probably about 25 heifer calves. We talked about in the beginning of the video, we're selling some pregnant heifers, so we try to raise as many heifers that we think we need to come back into the herd, but we always try to lean a little bit to the, that we have a little more than we need, just in case we sell some, if they have reproductive issues, if they have health issues. We lose the occasional calf. A calf could get severe illness, whatever it might be. We want to make sure that we have enough heifers calving, that we can keep the herd at the size it is today. At least that's the goal anyways. But if we do end up raising more heifers, especially now, heifer prices are quite high. They're almost worth their weight in gold, pregnant heifers. So we're selling a few extra that we have, and I think even later this summer we're going to have a couple groups that I want to sell, but we'll worry about that when we get a little bit closer. I definitely don't want to short us on heifers either, so I always want to make sure that once they get to be breeding age and they're bred, there's really almost nothing that can go wrong at that point there, unless they have some freak injury. Whatever could happen really tends to happen prior to that, especially in the first couple months of life when they're most vulnerable to disease. But once they're bred, they're confirmed pregnant, at that point we kind of know where we are as far as how many heifers we have calving certain months, and then we can make a decision whether or not we want to sell some heifers or not. Still have the jackets on, but 2 weeks from now we might be taking them all off. We'll see. It's starting to get light out now. It's about 7:30. I'm just gonna check the sorghum pile. I think we might have to open that up here today. Take tires off, cut the plastic back, and then after that I'm gonna head home. It's because it's Thursday. Ian has school Monday through Thursday, and if possible I like to bring him and Eli to daycare if Eli's going to daycare. So I'll do that here this morning. He's got school from 8 to 11:30. So we'll check that sorghum pile, and I'm gonna head home, help Taryn get them ready, and then I'll bring them to town. I don't do that every day, but if I can, I like to do that. Then I see him in the morning. Otherwise, I might not see him until 6 o'clock tonight, and then bedtime routine starts at around 7, so that doesn't give me much time with them. So we'll check that sorghum pile quickly and then head home. Only takes me about 30-45 minutes, but if I can do it, I like to do it. Ian, are you going to school?
Yes.
Where are you going, Eli?
I'm going to Kelsey's.
You're going to Kelsey's?
Yeah.
Okay, where's Ramsey going? Ramsey's going to the farm. Okay, you ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay. Back in the office here now. We've got a ration change for our heifers here this morning. Decreasing straw a little bit, increasing the sorghum a little bit, and then we have a baleage change tomorrow for the milking cows. So the way that works is we've got the tablet in the tractor that's got the feeding software on it. We also have that feeding software on our computer here. Feed supervisor is what it's called. So our nutritionist will send me an email with the updated ration, the pounds per cow per day, and then I'll enter that into our feeding program. It's set up to be able to do it wirelessly through Wi-Fi, but we had some issues with that many years ago and never really tried to set that up again. We just do it with a jump drive. So we put that jump drive in the tablet in the tractor, get all the most recent information off, put that in the computer here, update rations, put it back on the jump drive, and then I'll give that to our feeder and he'll put that in to the tablet when he's ready to use that ration, when he needs to use that ration. So we'll get up these rations uploaded here. So we're changing 4 here this morning for the heifers, fresh cows, high production cows, and then late lactation cows, because all those 3 pens are using that baleage that we're changing here. And it's a very minor change. The baleage is almost identical, but just a small protein change, I'm assuming. And then the baleage dry matter change, that's the biggest thing, if there is a dry matter change, which likely there's at least a few points difference between the lots. But gonna get that done here this morning, bring that back to our feeder, and then we've got a meeting at 10:30 with somebody that's working on a program with me that's going to track in theory, track our feed use mainly is what it's about, but trying to track our greenhouse gas emissions to, in the future, in theory, be able to implement some feed additives as those become available that show that we're reducing our greenhouse gas emissions, to then be able to sell carbon credits based on those reductions. And the biggest thing in all of that is having a lot of accurate data, making sure that you can prove to somebody that's buying these credits that you're actually reducing your greenhouse gas emissions, because that's what it's all about, is being able to prove what you're doing. So we're getting started on that. They've got some pilot farms already in this program, and last I was told they're already in the process of them being paid for some reductions that they have done through the use of rumensin, which is a feed additive that's pretty commonly used. So we're kind of in that same process here. We've our herd is already up and going into this. Our information from our feed program is going into this automatically. Our information from our herd health program is going into this program automatically. Now it's just a matter of manually putting in the individual ingredients in our rations, and that's what we're going to do here today. I had asked them to come out and help me with that the first time to make sure we're doing things as accurately as possible. We're working with, pretty familiar with, pretty confident that if there is a opportunity for us in the future, that it will be done in the right way, I guess I should put it. If there's opportunities, we definitely want to be involved, especially if we go down the road and some of these things become mandatory. If we're a step ahead of the game, then that's going to help us in that sense. So that's what we're working on this morning also, and then we'll probably catch back up with you guys after that. Got a few things I need to do in the afternoon. I'm in our heifer barn here now. Got a couple of lists of heifers. I've got them spaced out by days pregnant essentially, and I need to find for the first group that I'm looking for 5 out of a group of 48, and then the next group I need to look for 4 out of a group of 46 or so, I think it was. We'd like to calve around 40 to 45 heifers per month, roughly. That's kind of where we need to be, keep our herd at the size it is today. So we're going to start looking through some heifers here, see which ones we're going to sell here next week, Monday. Then I can make lists ready for Monday so that we can sort them out, give all the information on these heifers to the dairy farmer that's buying them, so they can then enter that into their record keeping system. It's a group of 170 heifers here in this pen, all pregnant heifers, and all the heifers that we'll be selling will be coming out of this pen, with the exception of maybe a handful coming out of the pen prior to this. Those would also be pregnant heifers. Looks like they're all hanging out on the outside of the barn trying to get some sunlight. It's crazy that it's so nice here in February. We've got the whole barn open here. Almost feels like I should be wearing shorts. It's so nice outside. But I'm gonna start looking through this pen here. I'm not gonna lock them up. I'm just going to walk through, let them be as they are. But I will put the camera down here so I can pay attention to what I'm doing. I've got 10 heifers picked out here. I'm going to move them in a separate pen, make a list with all their information, date of birth, sire, who they were bred to, how many days pregnant they are, and then next Monday when they're going to be picked up, we'll be able to sort them out easily, load them up right away. It's not easy picking out heifers to sell. Just have to look at the genomic information, because I was looking at heifers here and my dad walked over and I said, this is one we're selling. He said, why are we selling her? She looks like a really nice heifer. And I didn't disagree with him, but if we have to sell 5 out of a group of 50, I don't know if there's 5 poor heifers out of those 50. So they're just have to trust the science, I guess. I mean, out of this group of 170 heifers, I don't know if I could find a handful of heifers I don't like. I mean, there's always going to be some better ones and worse ones, but it's always so difficult, because you look at some of these heifers that are lowest on the list genetic wise and you think there's nothing wrong with her, she looks like an awesome heifer, but we have to make a decision somehow, so that's how we're doing it. Just take the emotions out of it, I guess, or try to anyways. But I think I'll end the video here. It's about 3 o'clock. Still have a couple of small things that I want to do. Guys, we're moving calves under the lean on and then cleaning pens out. I was gonna go over there and see how far along they are, and then I do have to pick up Ian and Eli here at 4:15 from daycare, because Taryn's not gonna be quite done with work. And I'll bring them back to the farm, and then we'll make lists for moving cows tomorrow morning. Like to do that if I can with them in the office, because then they get out here and get away from the house, from the TV for a little bit, and it gives me a chance to do some work in the office at the same time. So I think we'll do that. We'll end the video here. If you guys have questions, comments, post them down below, and hopefully we'll see you in the next video.